Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're really digging into something fundamental about, well, how we learn effectively.
Yeah, it's this idea of seeing the whole picture first before getting bogged down in all the little bits.
Exactly. We were looking at some material on learning methods, and this theme just kept coming up.
It really did.
So, our mission today is to figure out why that big picture view is so critical, for really understanding things and solving problems, and how it helps if you're trying to learn stuff quickly, but also thoroughly.
And it's interesting, given your focus on efficient learning, how many approaches really stress this initial overview.
Uh-huh.
Our sources brought up that Eastern concept, seeing the forest before the trees, grasping the whole situation first.
Okay, forest before the trees. I get the image, it's classic. But the analogy that really clicked for me from the sources was the jigsaw puzzle.
Ah, yes, the puzzle. That's a great one.
Think about like a simple kid's puzzle. 10 big pieces, maybe. You can almost just pick one up and see where it goes.
Right. With fewer larger pieces, it's manageable. You can work from the parts.
But then picture a really complex one. 500, maybe 1,000 tiny pieces all jumbled up.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to
Chaos.
put that together without the picture on the box lid, it feels, well, almost impossible.
Exactly. And that's the key difference, isn't it? Knowing the final image, the forest, is what lets you actually place all those individual trees correctly.
It gives you the context, the goal.
Knowing where you're headed makes navigating the details possible. Without it, you're just sorting shapes and colors aimlessly.
And this isn't just, a neat little metaphor.
Hmm.
It really gets to the core of how we learn or tackle big problems effectively.
Absolutely.
If you understand the overall context first, then figuring out the individual bits, the specific challenges, becomes way easier.
It provides a mental framework. Trying to learn, say, history by just memorizing random dates or fixing a machine by just tinkering with one part without knowing how it all works together.
Yeah, it's like doing that 1,000-piece puzzle blindfolded. You might get lucky with a few edge pieces, but the whole thing, probably not.
And from a cognitive standpoint, having that initial framework means your brain isn't struggling to hold on to dozens of disconnected facts. It has, like, mental hooks to hang them on,
Right. It prevents that feeling of just being swamped by information.
which is a major barrier to learning, feeling overwhelmed.
Okay, but the sources were clear. It's not just about the forest, right? You can't only look at the big picture.
No, absolutely not. That's crucial. Eventually, you definitely need to understand the individual trees to really grasp the whole thing.
So it's like a two-step process. First, the overview, the forest,
Get the lay of the land.
and then you zoom in on the details, the trees.
Precisely. That initial big picture creates a kind of mental scaffolding. It gives context to the details when you encounter them later.
Makes sense. Without that structure, the details just feel random, disconnected, harder to remember, harder to apply.
Yeah, they don't stick as well. You don't achieve real comprehension.
Which brings it back to you, the listener, wanting to learn efficiently, deeply, without feeling totally lost.
Right.
Seeing that big picture first gives you that vital roadmap. It's like having the puzzle box top right there.
It guides you. It helps you organize all those little pieces in a way that feels manageable, not overwhelming.
And it's interesting how many learning techniques actually do this, like starting with summaries or concept maps.
Or outlines, yeah, things that build that initial mental model before you dive into the dense text or complex procedures.
So the key takeaway here is really the power of getting that initial scan, that overview, before you plunge into the nitty-gritty.
Yeah, it's just a more effective way to go about it. Less frustrating, too. Leads to better understanding in the long run.
Definitely less overwhelming.
So, maybe something for you to think about. When you last tried to learn something new, did you jump straight into the details? Or did you try to get the big picture first? And maybe consider, what forests are you navigating right now? Projects, subjects, problems, where stepping back for that quick overview might actually save you time and give you some real clarity.